Let us look at the first question, my dear students, for the exercise. Classify the following as a homogeneous or heterogeneous mixture: soda water, wood, air, soil, vinegar, and filtered tea, my dear students. So we can classify them as homogeneous. Soda water is homogeneous, air is homogeneous, vinegar is homogeneous, filtered tea is homogeneous, whereas wood and soil are heterogeneous, my dear students. How would you confirm that the colorless liquid given to you is a pure water? So, my dear students, we should know that a pure substance has fixed melting point or fixed boiling point. So pure substance has fixed boiling point, that is 100 degrees centigrade. Pure water has fixed boiling point 100 degrees centigrade or 373 Kelvin. So I should measure the boiling point of the colorless liquid given to me. Now what will I do? I will measure the boiling point of the colorless liquid given to me to check whether it is pure water or not. If boiling point of water is found to be 100 degrees centigrade or 373 Kelvin, it is pure water. But if the boiling point is not exactly 100 degrees centigrade or not exactly 373 Kelvin, then the water is impure. This is how, my dear students, we understand about the purity of a compound. Which of the following, or purity of any material? Which of the following material fall in the category of a pure substance? We know, my dear students, that in chemistry, pure substance is the opposite of mixtures. So actually, we have to classify these substances into either the pure substance or the mixture. So let us look at the various substances given: ice, milk, iron, hydrochloric acid, calcium oxide, mercury, brick, wood, and air. Now, if we classify them as a pure substance and mixture, the various pure substances that we have are ice, which is a compound, that is H2O, iron, which is an element, that is Fe, hydrochloric acid, which is a compound, that is HCl, calcium oxide, which is a compound, that is calcium oxide CaO, mercury, which is an element, that is Hg. So, so these pure substances are either element or compound, whereas mixtures are either the solution or the colloid or the suspension. So milk, which is an emulsion, which is a mixture; brick, which is a solid plus solid type of mixture; wood, which is a solid plus gas type of mixture; air, which is a gas plus gas type of mixture. So this is how, my dear students, we can classify the various substances into the pure substance as well as in the form of the mixture. Now we'll move to the next question for the exercise. Identify the solution among the following mixture. Number 1, soil. Number 2, sea water. Number 3, air. Number 4, coal. Number 5, soda water. So we are going to study whether these substances are solution or not. You know what is the rule to solve such problem is solution has a homogeneous mixture and solution has uniform compositions. So when a substance is a homogeneous mixture, or if it has got uniform composition, we call it solution. So we can say that sea water is a solution, air is a solution, soda water is a solution, but soil is not a solution. It is suspension or colloid, or it can be something else, or coal is also mixture. So soil and coal are mixture which are non-uniform composition or not homogeneous, whereas solution or sea water, air and soda water, they are the homogeneous mixture, and that is why we call them solution. Then, my dear students, we have the next question. Which of the following will show Tyndall effect? So we need to understand which of the following are going to show us the Tyndall effect. Let us look at them. But there is one rule, my dear students, that solution can never show Tyndall effect. So it is written here that true solution does not show Tyndall effect. So, my dear students, it is shown by those substances which are not true solutions. So only true solutions will not show the Tyndall effect. So the substances which show Tyndall effect is milk, because milk is an emulsion which shows the Tyndall effect. Then we have starch solution. Starch solution is a sol, and that is why starch solution will also show the Tyndall effect. But the salt solution will not show Tyndall effect because it is true solution. Same way, my dear students, copper sulfate solution is also a true solution which does not show any kind of the Tyndall effect. And this is how, my dear students, we understand these exercise questions. Then we have the next question: classify the following into element, compound and mixtures. So we will have to say which substances are element, which substances are compound, which substances are mixture. The various substances given to us are sodium, soil, sugar solution, silver, calcium carbonate, tin, silicon, coal, air, soap, methane, carbon monoxide, blood, bathing soap, washing soap, and carbon dioxide. So out of these all substances, my dear students, we have some elements. These elements are sodium, silver, tin and silicon. So sodium, silver and tin and silicon, they are actually the elements. Then we are going to study about the compounds. My dear students, the various compounds given to us in the question are calcium carbonate, soap, methane, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. These are the compounds. And then we have the various mixtures, my dear students. That the various mixtures given here are soil, sugar solution, coal, air, blood, bathing soap, and washing soap. Now, you will always have one question, my dear students, that why soap is considered as a compound, but bathing soap and washing soaps are not considered as a compound. So bathing soaps and washing soaps have, apart from soap, they have some things like they have colors, they have fragrance. उनमें से खुशबू आती है ना, तो for that we are adding fragrance. तो bathing soap में बहुत सारी चीजें, या washing soap में भी इस तरह से कपड़ों को अच्छे से धोने के लिए बहुत सारी चीजें मिलाई जाती हैं. And that is why soap, when it is alone, it is a chemical compound, and that is why we consider it as a compound. But when it comes to the bathing soap or washing soap, they are considered as a mixture. This is how, my dear students, the most of the questions that we have not discussed during our theories have been discussed from the exercise here. So this is how, my dear students, we complete the chapter 2 also with you. Now I'm going to show you something else which belongs to the chapter 1, my dear students. So now I'm going to show you something from the chapter 1. You know, in chapter 1 we have studied about the various states of matter. We have studied about the various states of matter, and we have seen that various states of matter can be interconverted. These states of matter can be converted to each other. So these states, when they convert to each other, let us see how they are converted and what are the various terms related to them. My dear students, can you see something on your screen? प्यारे बच्चों, आपको स्क्रीन पे
Yes, sir.
very good, very good. So let us thank you. Let us look at the diagram given on your screen. You can see, my dear students, that when solid is heated, it turns into liquid. So when solid is heated, it turns into liquid. This process is known as the melting or fusion, which is represented by A. Same way, my dear students, when this liquid is heated, it turns into gas. This process is known as B, and B is nothing but your vaporization or boiling. Then when gas is cooled, they turns into liquid. The process is known as C, and this C is known as the condensation. When we have liquid, when we cool it, liquid turns into solid. This process is known as D. This D is nothing but your freezing. Sometimes what happens, some solids, when the heat is increased to them or when the pressure is being decreased, they are directly converted into gas. This process is known as E, and this process E is known as sublimation. Same way, when sometimes these gases, when they are cooled, that means the heat is decreased and pressure is increased. Without passing through the liquid state, these gases directly go to the solid state, and this process is also known as sublimation. So my dear students, this process E and this process F, both are known as sublimation. Someone whose name was Jaswaraj has raised the hand. Jaswaraj, do you have anything to ask? बेटा आपको कुछ पूछना है तो आप पूछ सकते हैं. जसवराज, आपने हाथ ऊपर किया था, आपको कुछ पूछना है बेटा? जसवराज, आपको कुछ पूछना है? डियर स्टूडेंट्स, जसवराज, आपको कुछ पूछना है? आपने हाथ ऊपर किया था. ओके, देयर इज नथिंग टू आस्क. ओके देन माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, लेट्स मूव फॉरवर्ड. These various processes, now we want to understand for a particular substance, that is what it is known as water. You know, water is available in three various states. The solid state of water is known as ice, the liquid state of water is known as water, and then the gaseous state of water is known as steam or vapor. But there is a vast difference between the steam and vapor that we should understand. But for that, I have given you, or I have a graph to show you. My dear students, it is very much necessary that you very well understand this graph, you study this graph, you draw this graph so that we can explain it well. Now let us look at the graph in detail and let us try to study it well. This graph is available on your screen now so that you can study it well, you can understand it well. You can see that the graph is there on your screen in a bigger form. You can see that in graph we have the various points. These points I have shown you as point A, point B, point C, point D, point E, point F, point G, point H, and point I. These various points we are going to study one by one. Now, what do we need to know here is, on the y-axis, we have represented the temperature, whereas on the x-axis, we have represented the heat energy, my dear students. So, if we are moving right side, we are increasing heat. If we are moving upside, from lower to upside, we are increasing temperature. This is how, if we move from lower to upper side, the temperature increases. If we move from left side to right side, the heat energy increases. Now let us start studying this from the point number A. At point number A, we have ice. This ice, when we give it heat, it goes to the point number B. On point number B, we have still ice. When we move to point number B to point number C, at point number C, we have ice and water, both are present. At point number D, we have only water. At point number E, we have water. At point number F, we have water. At point number G, we have both water and steam together. At point number H, we have steam. At point number I, we have steam. So this is how we can understand the various physical state of water into the various points. Now we should study about the point number A and point number B. Let us start studying about the point number A and point number B in detail, my dear students. Let us go for studying the point number A and point number B. First, we should study the point number A, where we have the, so the given graph is the graph of temperature versus heat energy. We start studying the graph from point number A. At point number A represents the solid state of water. So water is ice at point number A. The temperature of ice is less than 0 degree centigrade or 0 degree Celsius, or the temperature is negative temperature in the centigrade scale or Celsius scale. At some negative temperature, we start giving heat to the ice. As we start giving heat to the ice, at point A, we give heat to the ice, the temperature of ice goes towards 0. That means the temperature of ice increases and the temperature of ice goes towards the 0 degree centigrade from the negative temperature. If we keep on giving heat, the temperature reaches the 0 degree centigrade. Thus, we can say that ice is at temperature B. So now you can see in the graph, my dear students, that we have started from point A. At point A, we started giving the heat energy. As we have started giving the heat energy to the ice, the temperature of ice also started increasing. At point A, we have some negative temperature. From this negative temperature, the temperature increases. That means it becomes less and less negative, and the temperature move towards the 0 degree centigrade temperature. When the temperature is 0 degree centigrade, actually we have reached the point B. So when we have reached the point B, the temperature of ice is 0 degree centigrade. Let us assume that we had 1 kilogram of ice. So we are going to assume here that, my dear students, we had a 1 kilogram of ice. Now we are going to study about point B. By giving heat, we brought ice from point A to point B. At point B, we still have 1 kilogram of ice. But at point B, if we give heat, the ice starts melting. At point B, fusion starts. So at point B, if we give even a slight amount of energy, if we give a slight amount of heat energy, the the uh, the the ice, 1 kilo ice starts to melt, or the fusion of ice starts. Remember, at point B, we have 1 kilogram of ice. A slight heat energy starts the process of melting of fusion, and ice starts turning into water at point number B. Point B, when we give heat, ice starts melting, and when the ice starts melting, the moment we start from point B, when we give heat, it melts and turns into water. After point B up to point D, we see a graph horizontal. Let us look at the graph once again so that I can explain you better. You know, my dear students, that by giving heat to ice at point number A, we have reached point number B. When we reach point number B, the temperature of 1 kilogram of ice is 0 degree centigrade. At point B, from the 0 degree centigrade, if we provide a slight amount of heat, a very small amount of heat energy to the ice start melting. The fusion of ice starts even with the very small amount of energy. You can even see in the graph that from point B to point D, the graph what we have is exactly parallel to the x-axis. That means the graph is parallel to the heat energy axis. That means we can provide heat, but when we provide heat, the temperature of the substance does not increase. That means from point B to point D, the temperature remains constant. The temperature does not increase. The temperature remains 0 degree centigrade only. This is how we understand the various points related to the point B, point C, and point D. Now we are going to study about the next point, that we go from point B. Point B, after point B up to point D, we see a graph horizontal. It means the parallel to the x-axis or heat energy axis. Though we give heat, but the temperature does not increase. Now we will think about point C. At point C, both ice and water exist. At point C, temperature of ice and water that coexist. Coexist मतलब साथ में पाए जाते हैं, साथ में रहते हैं. That coexist is 0 degree centigrade. प्यारे बच्चों, पॉइंट सी पे अगर हम देखें तो हम देखते हैं कि पानी और आइस दोनों ही एक साथ में पाए जाते हैं. वो पानी का टेम्परेचर भी 0 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड होता है और वो आइस का टेम्परेचर भी 0 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड ही पाया जाता है. Throughout from point B to point C or from point C to point D, temperature does not increase. अगर आप पॉइंट बी से पॉइंट सी पे चले जाते हैं या पॉइंट सी से पॉइंट डी पे चले जाते हैं, टेम्परेचर बिल्कुल ही बढ़ता नहीं है. टेम्परेचर 0 का 0 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड या 273 केल्विन ही बना रहता है, वो कभी बढ़ता नहीं है. Between B to C, ice is more and water is less, but between C to D, water is more and ice is less. Remember, my dear students, that all the 3 points B, C, D have same temperature, that is 0 degree centigrade or 273 Kelvin. Now let us see again point C into the graph, and let me explain the same thing to you once again. You can see into the point C, my dear students, that at point C we have both ice as well as water present simultaneously. Both ice and water coexist. You know, when we heat from B, ice start melting. So at point B, we have 1 kg of ice that start melting and water start forming. So between the point B and point C, we have more ice and less water. At point C, let us assume that both ice and water are in the equal quantity. Now what happens, if heat energy is given, more and more ice turns into water. So between the point C and D, we can see that water is more and ice is less. When we reach a particular point which is known as point D, then all the 1 kilogram of ice has been turned into 1 kilogram of water. So at point D, we have full 1 kilogram of water, and at point B, we have full 1 kilogram of ice. So while moving from point B to point D, 1 kilogram of ice is completely converted into 1 kilogram of water. Remember, my dear students, that between the point B, C and D, the temperature does not increase, and for all these 3 points, B, C and D, the temperature remains constant, and this constant temperature is 0 degree centigrade or 273 Kelvin. Now we are going to study about point D, my dear students. At point D, all 1 kilogram of ice which was present at point B has converted to 1 kilogram of water. At point D, 1 kilogram of water is present that has the temperature of 0 degree centigrade or 273 Kelvin. All 1 kilogram of ice converted to 1 kilogram of water without any increase in temperature. Please remember, all 1 kilogram of ice converted to 1 kilogram of water without any increase in temperature. Between points B to D, at point A, at point B, we have 1 kg of ice. At point C, we have some ice and some water. Between point B to C, temperature is 0 degree centigrade or 273 Kelvin. Ice is more in quantity than quantity of water. Now after point C, if we look at, we keep giving heat energy, so more ice melts and more water is formed. Between point C to point D, water is more and ice is less. Between point C to point D, temperature remains same, that is 0 degree centigrade or 273 Kelvin. So at point D, my dear students, temperature is 0 degree centigrade or 273. This is how we are going to again repeating that at point B we have temperature 0 degree centigrade or 273.